Welcome to episode 26 of Queer on the El Paso, a snapshot in time.
October is LGBTQ History Month, the annual month-long observation of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer history honors the fight for gay rights and our place in American culture. Founded in 1994, LGBTQ History Month showcases role models, builds community, and reaffirms the civil rights contributions of the LGBTQ community.
The history of the LGBTQ community in El Paso is both colorful and unique. For generations, LGBTQ El Pasoans have helped build acceptance and visibility of our community. Perhaps no other person in El Paso has been witness to and was able to photograph many of the events in our community over the past 40 years as our guest, Dove E. Kupfer.
Dove E. is known in many professional circles through his work as a professional floral designer. His knowledge of all aspects of the floral design industry have garnered him much recognition in the local, regional, and national floral communities. His design style is unique and innovative, with a signature that says it is a Designs by Dove E. creation. Dove can be seen camera in hand at almost all our community events. His ability to record and chronicle the progress of the queer El Paso people have made him the de facto historian of our community. We talk today about his journey throughout our history. Dove, welcome to Queer on the El Paso.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us about how you first got started in our community, Dove. I think that a lot of people know you and have seen you around, but a lot of people don't know your whole backstory. Let's paint a picture of the young Dove E. Kupfer. I don't know how many years ago we want to go back, but really what we're interested in talking this month about LGBTQ history is the history of our community in El Paso. So go back as far as you can remember you coming out in the community.
Well, I came out late in life. I was age 30.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. Being Jewish, it was very suppressed. My father was, a religious Jew, and so it was hard to even fathom the fact that there was a possibility of being a gay man in the Jewish community. And so, yeah, that was a little hard. Yeah. That was a little hard on me, but it happened. I was working for Kern Place Florist for 18 and a half years. And during that time, we hired 2 gay people to come work for us. And so it was Michael, and I can't remember the other one's name offhand. I'm so sorry. But anyway, and they would go out and party and have a good old time at the gay bars. And I was going, okay, I would love to do this, but I can't because I'm not allowed. And so one night, someone was having a birthday party, and they invited me to go out to celebrate the birthday. I went, okay, that's kind of cool. I think I can do that. And so we went to Whispers.
Oh my gosh, that's a blast from the past. Yeah. Okay, wait, just for those that may not know, about what year are we talking about, Dove?
Oh my God. What's 30 some odd years ago? Because I'm 67, so 37 years ago, give or take.
Goodness, so you're looking at probably the 90s, early 90s? Is that sound about right? So. And so now you find yourself, for the first time, I assume, at Whispers.
At Whispers, in a gay bar. I've never been. And they had a drag show. And that's why they went, because they went to celebrate the birthday with a drag show. And so I was there and I was watching and I'm going, oh my God, this is absolutely incredible. It was a blonde drag queen. I can't remember her name because back then it was a lot of them. And I was just so enamored by it that it was like, I may have to see more of this. And so that was the end of that. And then we went back to work the next week, and we really didn't talk about it too much, but they said, did you have a good time? I said, yeah, it was great. I had a really good time. Well, someone else's birthday is coming up soon, so we're going to do it again. And okay. And they invited me again. This time it was to the OP, the old OP.
Right. Now that we're a little more familiar with.
And the year was 1988.
Wow. How did you know that,
No,
Ceci?
I did the math.
Wow, that's amazing. So we're looking at, okay, so picture it. El Paso, 1988.
Mm-hmm.
Dove, new to the gay scene, walked into the OP
And, well, we went as a big group. It was a whole bunch of guys, a whole bunch of girls. It was everybody. And we just went and we had a good old time. And we went upstairs to the balcony and we sat there. And I was looking down on the dance floor and everybody was dancing. And they said, well, why don't you come dance with us? I said, I don't do that. They said, come dance with us. I said, no. And they said, come on. It's not that difficult. You can do it. I went, okay. And so I went down on the dance floor, and it was a lot of fun, and it felt good.
Excellent. And this was your first real experience in the gay world. I mean, aside from the Night at Whispers, and now actually you've kind of thrown yourself into the scene, and good for your friends for making you go out on the dance floor. And I think that's kind of the spirit of that gay bar at the time. If you remember, the OP felt like a big hug.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a very cloistered little group. So if you were one of us, you were one of us.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of our history in El Paso is the OP. And so that's important to me to point out that a big step for you in your coming out process and understanding the gay community in El Paso is going to the OP. And so now I never would have guessed that after everything and all the events that I've seen you at, that your beginnings were quite timid in a lot of ways, because you're certainly not timid anymore.
No. Oh, no. I've come out fully. Well, almost. Not 100%, but enough. Yeah, I mean, being Jewish and being raised the way I was, it was a hard decision to make.
Interesting. So now, how does, let's see, a 30-year-old man who's just recently come out, embracing his gayness for the first time, how do you make that journey to do what you eventually, what seems like were built to do, which is to come and take all these photographs? I mean, I want to point out that Izzy and I had a magazine in the early 2000s, and Dove, you were our photographer, not because you were taking them for us, you just were always taking photos. Every drag show, every event, everywhere from the 90s to the 2000s to the present day, you're seen with a camera in hand. So what happened that inspired you to go from these very humble beginnings to this?
Okay, so when I was at the OP, that one night, I came home and I figured out, okay, it's okay to be who I am. It's okay to be me. And I knew there were drag shows at the OP, so I started going to the drag shows on Sunday nights. And again, I was just captivated by them. And these people performing like they do. I was into costume design, I was into set design, I was into all of that through high school and grade school. So that was something that really hit home to me. And so when I went one Sunday and I was watching the show, I said, I'm also a photographer. I wonder if I'd be able to take pictures of these performers. And I questioned and I asked, who do I talk to about taking pictures of the shows? And someone said, well, you need to talk to Rose Quintana. And I went, okay.
I was going to say Sunday nights always made me think of Rose Quintana. She was this MC of the evening.
Correct.
Yeah.
Extraordinaire.
Yeah, she really kind of put the Sunday night drag shows on the map, right? Yeah. She was Queen Bee. Yeah.
She was absolutely. And so I was nervous and scared to even approach her. I mean, she was in a wheelchair. I didn't really know her. And I was like, okay, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to go up to her and I'm just going to ask her.
I also remember that she had a flank of like friends, guards. Yeah, it was like an entourage that she took.
She had her entourage with her.
Very protective of her.
Fred,
so I understand why you felt that way.
Ashley Simone.
Oh yeah.
And a couple others. Yeah.
Yep.
And it was like I could go into the office and talk to Gilbert and
Bob Bonovich.
There's a whole other ballgame. So I went and I asked Rose, I said, is there any way or a possibility that I can go into the dressing room and take pictures of the drag queens while they're getting ready or for the performances? And she says, well, I'm not sure. Let me think about it. And so it was a couple weeks later, and I went back and I said, well, have you made a decision? And she says, yeah. You've been here, you've looked, you've seen. I'll let you do it. I'll let you go into the dressing room, talk with the queens. If they say yes, then you have my permission to take their pictures.
That's fantastic.
That's where it started.
That's fascinating. First of all, I just for my own information, whatever became of Rose? Is she still with us?
Oh no, she passed away. She passed away a while ago.
I see. So that kind of opened the door. And I will say this. I mean, the drag performers that I've known are happy to have their photographs taken, and even if they're not in full drag, just to document that process, because so much time and energy goes into creating this
Absolutely.
persona. And at that time, what started off as photographing drag performers on Sunday nights at the OP, over time really kind of became a chronicle of our community, because so much can be gleaned from these photographs. So, I mean, and I know it'll be a guess, but since that moment, how many photographs do you think you've taken to this day?
There's not even, I can't even, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. I can't even fathom the number.
Exactly. It's been that long, and it's been those many photographs and so many different moments that you've captured. And on top of that, this was well before the digital age, where everybody had a camera in their pocket. I remember you having your camera bags and a flash and your lenses and you had to change film out, and then you'd have to go and get the film developed, and that was kind of like a really big deal, and I'm sure the drag queens loved it.
It was rolls of either 24, 36, or 48. That I would shoot during a show. And it was usually just one roll per show. So it was very picky as to what I shot. And then, taking it out of the camera, going to Walmart, getting it developed, having the pictures, printed. And then, yes, the drag queens definitely appreciated it. They would even buy them from me at that time.
Yeah.
I can't sell a picture now.
It's a different market. But
digital age has taken all that away.
And also, you have your real niche, because, I mean, there weren't a lot of people specializing in taking drag performers photographs, and so I mean I can see that being really appreciated, but like I said, it really became a way to document some of this history. So that kind of was your beginnings, and then you just became even more involved in the gay community after that.
Right. So after being able to take the photographs and everything else, Rose and Gilbert said, well, you said you do set designs. Why don't you do the stage design for the Miss OP pageant? I went, okay. I don't have pictures of the first ones, but the first one that I can remember, actually there's two, and I don't remember which was the first. It was either the Grecian temple or it was the Empire State Building with balloons as the clouds and the Empire State Building coming out of it, and it was like just Broadway, New York.
I love that.
Those were the two stage designs that I started with.
One of the things I want to point out, and because I've been to other drag shows here recently, I think I've been to Touch Bar together, that sort of thing, but it seems to me, in my opinion, that drag shows back then were far more theatrical, and that makes a lot of sense talking about costume and set design, because it really did feel like a show night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we went and
different now.
Yeah, now it's a little bit different. I think we kind of segued into more of that southern drag thing where it's like people are just beautiful and pretty and wearing these incredible gowns and doing that sort of thing. But back then, it wasn't necessarily about being pretty. Yeah,
I kind of called it like it was affected by the age of videos, of music videos. I think that's when I saw the drag scene change from the theatrical stage show kind of thing into this production that was very sleek and very,
That's a good point. I never thought of that.
Yeah. Simplified.
Yeah, and it became more about the art of drag, but one of the things that I do remember is that the early drag queens that we went to, and we're talking about kind of the same era, is while they did their best to look, attractive and they put a lot of time and effort into the costumes and stuff, it was all kind of almost comical, almost very theatrical, very larger than life, and they had these personas, and it just was really a lot of fun, really.
Yeah, and makeup was huge, was big. Their makeup was big. I remember it being big.
Yeah.
I would be in the dressing room talking with them, helping them with their costumes, even helping them design their costumes, not makeup because I don't do that, and I don't do hair. But anyway, but I was them, and we were talking, and just that, it was an incredible experience to be in the dressing room, to watch the transformations from a boy to a drag performer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like unbelievable. I was just so enamored by it, and that's what kind of kept me going and going and going. I've been blessed with being able to take photos of the most incredible drag queens that have set foot in the city of El Paso.
Nationally known drag queen.
Oh, one of my very first photographs that I still have a copy of on my phone, and that was part of the Engendering Communities exhibition at UTEP, is a picture of Tommy Ross.
Oh, I've forgotten about that.
One of the very first ones I ever took was of Tommy Ross. And then...
Tell us about, for those that don't know, Tommy Ross was very known for doing celebrity impersonations. Is that right? Yes.
Diana Ross,
yes, that's right.
And Erykah Badu
And she was bigger than life.
She's larger than life.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then Whitney Page.
Whitney Page
passed, and Tandy Andrews, Erica Andrews, the whole gamut, Christina Ross. These are some of my personal friends. Coffee, China Blue.
I see. All these names sound really familiar to me. Yeah. These were big names back then. And back then, on Sunday nights, when they'd get a big drag performer on, you could barely walk in that bar. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Hot chocolate.
Oh yeah. So
I thought China Blue was so cool. Oh.
Yeah, and that's what's important about recording our history, because a lot of these performers deserve to not be forgotten. And also their connection to our community. Right. Let's talk about some of the local drag queens. Can you share just maybe an anecdote, something that was particularly either inspiring or moving for you, based on an experience with one of the drag performers here in El Paso? Can you share an idea? Just tell us a story about what it was like of performing in that period. At the OP.
And having you being that confidant.
Exactly. He was there in the back in the backstage.
So Zaza Montenegro.
Oh, we were talking about her earlier.
Let me interject just in case people don't know. Zaza Montenegro was took over as the MC on Sunday nights
after Rose.
And she was another larger than life character, out of drag, very reserved. Put a dress and a wig on her, and she had a mouth and was funny and witty and theatrical. Did a couple of numbers every night and introduced these drag queens every Sunday like a professional. So that was Zaza. So tell us about Zaza. Go ahead.
Well, when I met Zaza, I was like, oh my God, really? Wow. I was just like, blown away. Zaza was larger than life. And it was just a lot of fun to be with her and to see how she ran the shows.
Right.
And then after Zaza, there was Macy Alexander.
Macy Alexander, that's right. I've forgotten about her.
And so, rumor has it that Macy and I were
Oh, you heard it here first. After years of speculation. Now, Macy Alexander was the heir apparent after Zaza, and she was also very good at kind of keeping the show moving. Izzy, before we move off of Zaza, tell me about a memory you have of Zaza. I didn't mean to cut you off before.
Oh, no. I was just going to say that Zaza, out of drag, was hyper intelligent and super giving.
Teacher.
Yeah, but I mean, so giving. When it came to caring, Zaza was on the board of the Southwest AIDS Committee, and he fought for the gay community and for AIDS services big time. I have so much respect and love for Zaza.
It's a lot of compassion there, and that also her intelligence showed in her wit.
Yes.
As a performer, because I'll tell you one thing, she was quick. And I appreciated that. And I always, she became the kind of like the symbol of drag performers in El Paso for a while. So that's great that you brought her up.
It's because of her that I got involved with AIDS organizations and Pride and the rest of the other stuff that I do now.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. So it kind of makes sense. And isn't that amazing that a drag performer, an MC, opens, because it wasn't just who she was, just as a drag performer, she had a real commitment to our community and inspired others like yourself, Dove.
We became good friends. I visited her at her house with her boyfriend and the other one that was with them, and it was just, we became friends.
Yeah, they were thruples before their thruples were cool.
They were the original thruple.
Right? That Dove is making a slightly obscene gesture. Anyway, so tell me now. Tell me about anybody else. Maybe can you speak to maybe watching a young drag performer kind of grow up before your eyes?
I've seen many.
Yeah, I'd like to hear about that.
I've seen many. Chanel.
Oh, Chanel.
Chanel was one of the most incredibly creative drag queens I've ever met.
Really? Why is that?
She would come out with just unbelievable performances. Marie Antoinette with the head.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I remember her Baby Love scene where she did blackface and midgets singing Baby Love.
Oh my God.
As the Supremes.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
Incredible. So there was Chanel. Of course, there were all these other drag queens that some have moved away from El Paso. Chanel, Ariana Andrews, God, you're having to go back that far is trying to remember all the names.
Well, and you really have known probably thousands of them. I mean, maybe thousands. Yeah.
I saw Diamond when she began.
I did too.
Wow.
Yeah. I knew Diamond as Isaac. I don't know if she'll like me saying that, but
yeah.
I knew Diamond as Isaac, and Isaac turned into what we see now as the gem of El Paso.
She really is.
She truly is. I have watched her growth from being that young, timid boy to this incredibly fabulous prima diva drag queen.
Yes, absolutely. Is a really good performer and has done a lot with her career.
Exactly. And on just in the vein of Zaza Montenegro, if there's anybody who will do a benefit show for you, she'll be on there you won't have to ask her twice. She's willing to give all of her tips. She's willing to do whatever it takes to perform for you to raise money.
Isn't that interesting that a lot of the driving forces in our community, the ones that are most willing to support, are the ones that are quick to put on their heels and get to work?
Yeah.
I think that's inspiring. Yeah.
And they're the most oppressed, unfortunately.
Going back to gay history, I mean,
Right.
Going back to the Stonewall, I mean, it was the drag queens that were fighting the police officers in the street. Speaking of which, let's pivot a little bit about to the community at large. Can you talk a little bit about how, in your opinion, our community has changed from the time that you first came out to where we are today? Can you talk about some of the progress that you've seen or some of the challenges that we've gone through?
Well, I mean, there has been a lot of progress. We now have Sun City Pride, and we have the other organizations. We have Borderland, Rainbow Center, all these lovely places that we can go and be who we are. But that's not how we had it at the beginning. At the beginning, we would all get together, different places. The You Got It.
Yeah.
The Overland Station, same
Place,
building,
different name, yeah.
same building, was where they used to have the first beginnings of Pride,
Right.
the community center. And that's where I met several other people and got involved. And so activism started happening back then. And now, with Sun City Pride and Mountain Star Pride and all these other Pride organizations that are around, things have progressed in a good way. In a good way. I mean, there are some issues. Mm-hmm. There are some issues. People complain about the Pride organizations, that they're party and that's all, and they don't really care. But it's not true.
No, I don't think
They
so
really
either.
do care.
Yeah, and also as somebody that came from a place in a time in El Paso when there were no Pride celebrations, and to go from where we are, and then I remember the very first Pride parade. Remember Jerry, a woman named Jerry, put it together.
I was on committee.
Yeah, and that's right.
I was part of that Pride.
I want to point out that Dove and I have been known each other for almost probably 40 years now, because we had a mutual friend that we originally met through, our friend Anna, and so back then I remember the very first Pride parade was put on by a woman named Jerry, and it was based out of the Overland Station, or that became our community center. It was as bare bones and as pobrecito as you could ever imagine. It was a bunch of guys and maybe a few Jeeps. And, I remember we were, me and Izzy had the T magazine at the time, and we covered it, but it was like this tiny little parade, and it was really no much fanfare. And you compare that to this year and the years previous, when you have the electric company and these big floats, and you have all these thousands of people. I mean, so that's progress in terms of visibility and acceptance. And so that makes, I think, the whole goal of allowing other people to come out and be themselves and to feel comfortable in the gay community extremely important. So tell me about some of the other aspects of the gay community. I mean, there was, the activism, of course, and the drag scene. What have you seen just in terms of generational differences? Like, if you compare the groups of people that would go out in the late 80s, early 90s to the kind of people, the kids, the young kids going out today. Yes, talk us about that.
I feel old when I see them now, going like to Epic and Dillinger's and Touch. It's like they're so young.
They get younger.
But they are so uninhibited.
Right.
I couldn't be like that back then.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to be like that back then. And it was like, would I change
Your experience?
my experience? No.
That's good.
No, I wouldn't change it. Because it was a progress. It was a sequence. From the beginning, where I started in the OP, all the way through my being involved with Sun City Pride as one of the historians, and then eventually the historian, and then eventually one of the historians again, because they don't just want one. And so it was Jay and myself. It was Manny and myself. Manny back when Jerry was running the parade, I was part of the first 1, 2, 3. I think we did 3 or 4 parades before something happened, and she didn't do it one year, and everybody got all bent out of shape, and it was like, well, we're going to have to take it away from her. We can't have her do it anymore because she's not providing it for us. Right. And so that's when the OP got involved, Gilbert got involved, Jesus got involved, San Antonio Mining Company got involved, Dave eventually got involved, and it kind of was taken away from Jerry, and it moved from Southwestern Pride into Sun City Pride.
I see. Going back to this idea about how the younger generation today, that you see them as so uninhibited and probably not facing some of the stigmas that we face sitting around this table. I mean, Ceci, just by association. Mm-hmm. As a straight woman, she had to deal with me complaining for 20 years. But the thing is that I honestly look back at that time, and it really formed who we are, gave us strength as gay men. Absolutely. But on top of that, it gave us the platform on which to build the place that we're at now, correct, where these younger people can be uninhibited, and they can go through feeling a little bit more safe and more accepted. So I wouldn't trade it at all either. Izzy, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, well, of course, given that, I worked in the HIV and AIDS field for so long, I always remember, and I remember the thought being shared with me, so this isn't my original thought, but I understood it, was that disease, one of the things that came from that horrible disease was that we were forced out into the open. And everything came from that. When you think about the evolution and how history, one of the groundbreaking changes in the gay community as a public entity, as a public presence, came from the HIV and AIDS crisis. Yeah. So if there's anything to be said about that horrible, stupid disease that we all worked at fighting for so long, is that it gave us a need to coalesce and come together, to be a community, to be as one, to support each other. I think out of all of the things, our community learned how to band together through that horrible, through adversity.
Yeah, it was truly a passage that we had to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't afford to stay silent. That's what they would say, silence equals death. Yeah. And also it brought lesbians into the fold, because lesbians in these major metropolitan areas were the ones that kind of took up the guard to help these gay men. Sure. And that, translated all over the country. But I remember, and Izzy can speak to this, the beginnings of AIDS activism. AIDS activism and gay rights activism were intertwined completely.
Correct.
And if you fought for AIDS rights, it was almost automatically assumed that you were part of the gay rights movement, or equal rights movement, I should put it that way, the equality movement. And so it's true, that brought us all together, kind of like that firing point that we all came together. And so that's an interesting part in El Paso's history. How do you think we will evolve from there? So we started off kind of in the back alleys. We gained visibility. The AIDS crisis came. That kind of gave us strength in numbers.
We lost a lot of friends through that.
Right. And now,
locally and nationally, both.
Right. And here we are now in this place where, yes, younger generations can enjoy a much more open existence, but we're still facing problems. So how does our history inform our future? What do you think of that?
Well, we are the banner bearers for the movement. We are the ones that they can actually fall back and ask questions, and we can be there to support them. I know I've been told by many a person, it's like, you are someone special in this community.
You are. Absolutely.
And the day that we lose you, this community will lose a lot. And I said, I don't like to think about that, but, inevitably it's going to happen. But I'm able to share my experiences with the younger people and talk about what I witnessed and what I experienced and let them know that they're okay. They have a place. Whereas back then we were working to gain our place.
Right. So to that end, Amber at the Borderline Rainbow Center and I had a conversation about the importance of intergenerational support for the younger LGBTQ people to look at some of these older people, and I'm including Izzy and myself, and of course you as part of that. I never would have thought that I would have seen it that way, but I take for granted that the things that we've seen and that we've been through together are new to some of these younger, somebody just coming out of the closet. Yeah, and so there's a lot that can be learned, and when we in turn can learn a lot from the younger people. Like you said, it's great that they can be so uninhibited. And if I had known that secret when I was in my 20s, I think I would have been unstoppable.
I may not be here had I known that back then.
I agree with you.
It's like I keep saying to myself, God knew what he was doing when he put me in places at certain times. And because I was involved in the gay community during the AIDS crisis, but I wasn't seeking a partner. I wasn't seeking sex. I wasn't seeking any of that. That may have saved my life.
I understand. Yeah. That's interesting. That's an interesting point.
It's a different kind of reflection.
And I thank God every day that I didn't get involved in some of the things that I saw my friends getting involved, because some of them are no longer here. Right. Because of what happened. In several different ways, not just AIDS, but other things as well. I thank God every day that I'm here.
And you're able to share your story.
And I can share my story.
And it's great that you're on the board and you serve as historian for Sun City Pride, because that's another outlet in which I find, in my experience with them, is there's such young people with such energy and enthusiasm, and if they only could see how that started, then they'd really feel even more proud than probably what.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not official historian as such anymore. I don't have the board title anymore because they took it away. So it's myself and Nitro that are the historians at the.
Well, and that's why I called you in your introduction the de facto historian, because honestly, Nitro's the one taking up the guard, the new generation. And you would say he's younger and probably wants to stay out till 3 a.m, but I certainly don't. But it's great to know that people are out there documenting our life. And yes, it's a lot of partying and a lot of fun drag shows and a lot of events, but it's not all just that. It's a celebration of our life. Speaking of events, can you tell me about any particular, maybe 1 or 2 events over the career that you've had covering things for the gay community that have really stood out as meaningful to you?
Back when we were able to cross the bridge, we had a parade for AIDS Awareness Night. The Candlelight AIDS. And it was an evening parade, and I recall, and I know I had a picture of it, and I don't know if I still have the photograph or not, but they had doves on sticks, like kites, and we walked across the bridge.
How wonderful. I bet you that...
Oh my God, that just makes me tear up a little and get all verklempt, because that was one of the most incredibly meaningful events and sites that I've ever seen and photographed and documented.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. I remember when that happened. Izzy, you were involved. Is that right?
Well, in the later years, the candlelight AIDS vigil, yes, we walked across and then met at the top of the bridge with the Juarez counterparts and hugged and kissed and cried. Yeah.
But those dove kites, I don't know if they did it any other time, but that one time I don't recall.
Yeah. I think
it was just such a meaningful and beautiful symbolic gesture between the El Paso people and the Juarez people coming together on the bridge with those beautiful dove kites with the symbol of peace.
And we can look this up, but about what year were you talking about that?
Don't remember. It was a long time ago. It was one of the first.
Yeah, it was definitely late 80s, early 90s.
It was one of the first events that I documented between the two nations.
That is fascinating. See, now I think, Dove, which I've known you, like I said, a number of years, but when we were working together on the first magazine that Izzy and I had together, is that, you need to publish a book. I mean, you probably have.
I was thinking the same thing. Over here.
Yeah, there's many a person that has told me the exact same thing. And it's like, okay, I would love to do this. I can't afford to do it. So if I can get funding for it, then there is a possibility.
Well, I think in terms of the greater picture for the importance of recording our history, one of the things that we started this podcast and one of the tenets in which we founded this effort was that we decided that a lot of our history is being lost. A lot of the LGBTQ history is being lost. And unless we really make efforts, I mean, obviously there's publications. I come from a publishing background, and so, we can look up old magazine stuff, but that's not as relevant anymore as it used to be. But certainly a book, video, podcasts, I mean, anything that we can do to help preserve our stories, I think is important. And you are a font of history, Dove. And so let's talk a little bit about that. What do you do with, I know back in the day you had prints of your photographs and all of that. How do you catalog that? Are they easily accessible? Are you an organized person, or is it all just kind of the patchwork that is Dove?
I'm an art person. I'm a floral designer by trade. I am not an organized person. I have boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of photos in my house, in my storage units that I rent. Unfortunately, when I had a fire this past January, I lost several hundred photos.
Oh, goodness.
And things that were part of what it would have been my archives.
Right.
Yeah.
But I still have a whole bunch elsewhere in places. Nothing is organized.
Wow.
And someone says, well, I'll come help you organize it. I said, yeah, right. Ain't gonna happen.
You'd have to be an archivist.
Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. When I had the fire and I looked on my balcony and everything was just strewn on the balcony after the fire department did their water to take the fire out, and I couldn't go back in my house. I wasn't able to go in my condo for 5 months. But like the few days after the actual fire, I was told I had to clean it up. And so I started cleaning it up, and as I was reaching in, it was one photo after another, after another, after another. Some were charred on the ends, but yet the photo was still present. Mm. And so I took all of those downstairs into the party room, and I had a basin in the sink, and I just started soaking them and separating them and setting them on the table and letting them dry. Wow. So that archives didn't disappear. It wasn't just drag queen photos. It was photos of my family stuff. It was photos of my florals. It was photos of all kinds of stuff. But it was a lot of drag stuff. I found pictures, I think Zaza's in some of them, Macy's in some of them, Diamond is in some of them. I saved thousands where I lost a few hundred.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's still, extremely impressive. And it's certainly more than anybody else I can think of in El Paso would have.
No one has.
Nobody.
The only one that may have something even close to what I have is Manny.
That's Nitro. Is that?
No,
Manny.
Manny, he used to be the DJ at the OP.
He was a photographer back then.
I see. I didn't realize that.
He was
Rivera.
before me.
Manny
Rivera. He was before me.
Really?
He took pictures in the OP way before I did.
That's interesting. Well,
Then I watched and I went, okay, he can do it. I should be able to too.
Well, I'm glad that you did. I think that our community owes you a great debt that you did do that, because I'll say this. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
You've been to thousands of drag shows. You've covered thousands of people, and you've been to many events.
And you have the negative.
And you're still trying to run your job, your business. Yeah,
and now
exactly.
I'm teaching. Exactly.
Yeah,
It's like where am I going next? What am I doing next? My days are like my calendar is like you don't even want to look at it.
Well, I think that's impressive, to be honest with you. And I think that, like I said, I think our community should be very grateful that you have these. I just want our community to get behind you, and maybe we can do something with all of this, because I think it's extremely valuable for us as a whole.
There's talk of, and I spoke with the people at the History Museum to do an exhibit this coming Pride. We haven't really gone past the quickie little, we should do it type of deal.
Right. Well, you got to kind of push them. And I think we as community members should push them too, because one of the things is that the El Paso Museum of History is a big supporter of our community. Mm-hmm. And their last exhibit during Pride was extremely impressive. And I think that they have an ongoing commitment to telling our story as part of the greater story of El Paso, because we are a part of El Paso. And going back to what I was talking about the progress, and I've said this many times here on our podcast, is, going from where we started, understanding where we started, and I was not the first, and Izzy and I were not you were not the first gays in El Paso, although it feels like we were. Some days it really does feel like that. But these generations. But I mean, if you were to ask me what gay life was like in 1950 in El Paso, I couldn't tell you, and there probably wasn't much of one.
I wasn't born then.
Yeah, well, neither was I, just to put that on the record. But the thing is that, so we don't have a lot of that history. And so I think it behooves us to come together and start recording what we can.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Yeah. And it's like, people have said, write a book, do an exhibit, do a this, do a that. And it's like, okay, I need help.
Well,
yeah.
I think that our community should probably look for ways to help. Tell me a bit about what advice you would give. October is not only National Queer History Month, but it's also, because of that, as National Coming Out Day. So here's a man who's been out for many years, has seen a lot of our community, has been through a lot of experiences, both good, some bad, some tearful, some joyful. What advice do you have for a young person trying to find their way, just coming out, just trying to decide where they're going to belong into this El Paso gay world?
That's a hard one. That's not an easy thing to address. First of all, they need to be comfortable with themselves first. And that in itself is hard, because it was hard for me to be there. When I finally figured out I'm okay to be me, things changed with me. I ended up with a pierced ear. I ended up changing my style of dress. I became a camera-carrying person. But first they need to be comfortable with themselves. And then they need to be comfortable with the community that they're involved in. And again, that's really hard. That's not an easy thing. And your family has to support you, and that's another whole sticky wicket. My family didn't for a long time. My coming out story is a whole other ballgame.
Right.
That's a whole other podcast.
That's on a future episode.
That's a whole other episode, yeah. Because it's a whole other ballgame. I didn't tell my father. I didn't tell my mother. Someone else did.
Oh, well, that's never fair.
And so, yeah. And my father didn't believe it, and my mother already knew. I mean, moms know. But, yeah, so having your family behind you is a really important thing, and it doesn't always happen that way.
Right.
But God willing, the new generation has that support.
Right. And they can find it. Sometimes family is who you make it out to be.
Right. And if their personal family isn't, they can find us.
Right.
We can become their family.
Right.
I mean, I've become family to many a person.
I can't express to you how true a statement you said earlier about you have to be comfortable with yourself first. And then everything else starts to click into place. Yeah. But that's your foundation. And you'll find the support that you need eventually. Right. It may not be real easy, but it's worth it.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, like I said, me going out with the gay boys from the flower shop and seeing what I was missing, I said, maybe it's time.
Excellent.
Maybe it's time.
And it's
my ex-boss told me, I knew, but you had to figure it out for yourself.
Well, there's that too, and I don't mean this in any way to make a dig on you, but I mean the headline reads "Florist comes out as gay" is hardly news. Okay, I mean you had the benefit of being in an industry that was very welcoming already, but it was still difficult for you, right?
I met many a person that is family, that is a florist, But, yeah, it didn't happen for a few years while I was at the flower shop, too. I suppressed it as well.
Interesting.
And when I began at the flower shop, I was taught by a gay cowboy.
Really? Wow.
A gay cowboy florist.
Wow.
Okay, do you have his phone number?
With a boyfriend that would beat him up.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
So, yeah, he wouldn't come in some of the days.
Oh, that's just heartbreaking. And back then, how do you explain that when you probably were not very open about your relationship? Well, and you're a cowboy.
I mean,
yeah.
We knew in the flower shop, we knew. And if he didn't come in, we suspected that something had happened.
Goodness.
And eventually he just didn't come back.
Oh my goodness.
And I was taught by him. And I was taught by other designers that my boss would bring into the shop just to teach me. And that's how my floral career started. And then I became the manager of the flower shop, and I taught those gay boys that came to work for us.
You know, and if I could just shift real quick, because one thing that looking back on photos and things like that with you, Dove, being yourself and being comfortable with yourself, there's something I've always admired, and that's your personal style. And that, yeah, your stuff, you make a lot of that yourself. You do those appliques yourself, right? Tell us about how you came to that.
Right. Let me just introduce. That's a good point, and I'm glad you brought that up, Izzy.
Yeah.
If those of you if you have not seen Dove, he has got style coming out of every pore of his body, and every outfit is just so well designed and so fun and so unique.
Yeah.
So yes, what's your inspiration? That's a good point. Thanks, Iz.
Oh my God, I don't even know where to tell you. I begin with that. It's through the theater and through the costume design. It's like when I figured out who I was and I decided, okay, I'm a gay person, I started looking to see what gay people were wearing. I'm going, oh, I need color. I can't wear that drab stuff. I cannot be seen in that because that's not who I am.
Good.
I am this crazy, flamboyant, to a degree, floral designer, photographer, community person. I need to be me, and I need to put that persona out. So yeah, and I started buying clothes from places in town that we used to be around that aren't anymore, and then buying stuff online because I had to have that different that nobody else has.
I think that's the artist in you. I think that your artistry shows in your work and in your life, which I think is the hallmark of any good artist, is to live artfully. And you do that in spades. So, Dove, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you for sharing your slice of El Paso's LGBTQ history. And I've known you for 40 years, and this is probably the longest conversation we've ever had. But it will not be the last.
Yay!
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dove.
And happy LGBTQ Pride Month.
Thank you. I really appreciate this. It was a lot of fun.
That was the right choice to talk to for Queer History Month. Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When I think about all of the times that I've been out at gay bars and been to drag shows and been to the festivals and all the public events, I kind of always count on Dove being in the corner of the room taking a photograph, and it's just a staple. That's something you expect.
And, back
You can't miss him.
No, you can't. Yeah, he is kind of an icon. Mm-hmm. But, back when we were doing the magazine even, we always relied on his photographs, and I think it was interesting because I knew a lot of the drag queens that he first started photographing really appreciated having those photos.
And he was there to chronicle, but also to, you can tell that he loved them and loved their experience as they were going through their transitions.
Yeah, in fact, that's kind of what brought him out of the closet from his story. I mean, he wasn't even sure that he was gay, and then once he went to the OP and saw the first drag show, he went full force, and now he's become just a real pillar in our community. It's really amazing that happened that way.
Yeah. And that he has been involved in so many committees, and that he has been, held so many titles and such. He is definitely somebody that our community has relied upon.
Yeah, and I don't know that we've shown enough appreciation for it because, now we live in the digital world where everybody has a phone, everybody has photos, everybody posts stuff on Facebook. But you know what? We can't go back in time. And we can't remember some of these drag icons, some of these community leaders that he brought up, that he knew, that he photographed. We can't do that anymore. So his story becomes our story. And I think that it's important that we preserve that.
Absolutely. And when we're talking about, gay history, it's important to recognize while we still have access to those voices like Dove's, it's important that we honor and hold up those stories and so that they don't fade away or they don't just become hearsay or a sentence in some history museum exhibit.
Right. It becomes real. And also the whole idea of intergenerational communication so that we have the younger crop of LGBTQ diverse people. I think you should have the opportunity to really spend some time with some of the older people like ourselves.
I don't want to say founding fathers.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Izzy and I fall into that.
No, but you know what I mean.
We're more like fairy godmothers. We went the fairy and fairy godmothers. But
I was foundering.
Most men, gay men, and lesbians our age really are starting to fall into that kind of elder statesman role because, it's just a very different world from what the younger generation experienced. And it's good because that's what we fought for.
Right.
But it's also important that we celebrate our own history and that we don't forget it.
Right. And Dove has the photos to prove it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
Yeah, and as someone always said, don't forget where you came from.
Right. Yeah. Or, in our case, how could we? I'm always reminded constantly.
In some case, I should forget where I came from or the places that I've been.
That's a whole different thing.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad that Dove did take on that role. I don't know that when he first started that he even saw where it would end up.
Where it would go.
But I get the sense that he feels very satisfied that he did what he did for our community. Right. So, to that end, it is Queer History Month, so it's always a good time to remind people to
Agarren la onda, queers. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at feedback@queeronda.com or visit our website and leave a comment. www.queeronda.com. That's www.queeronda.com.